And now it's time to set the tone for today. Now it's all about action today, and he's definitely a man of action. His story is transformative, inspirational, and then some. Ladies and gentlemen, he'll be joining us today to deliver the keynote as someone who has revolutionized the aviation industry and created accessibility for everyone to travel. From airlines to ecosystems, it's time to get his insights on what that means. Please put your hands together and welcome a man who really needs no introduction, the one and only Tan Sri Tony Fernandes.
Morning, everyone. Someone just texted me and said I look exhausted. I am. Try running an airline for the last 5 years and you'll feel the same. But we're on the last bits and we're excited about the future. Firstly, to my old good friend, that's all right. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for kind of explaining to me what Moranti is and how you're going to change it back, and that sounds very exciting. So I'm going to kind of not talk to you so much about the airline, a little bit, and then really focus on how we used innovation and a lot of things you're doing to kind of build other companies during COVID. So there are two ways of dealing with COVID. We could have just put our heads in the sand and cry and give up, which is not really in my vocabulary, or try and innovate and see what we did. So I looked at all our assets in AirAsia, and to keep ourselves relevant, we built all these companies really using data and technology. So just to highlight where we came from, you know, in December the 8th, we'll be 23 years old. And, you know, I'm now 60 years old. So I started this business when I was 36 with Kamarudin and Aziz Baka and Dato Pahamin, all guys from the music industry. So the first thing I want to tell all of you that are startups, that you can do anything you want to do. It doesn't really matter where you came from. I was from the music business. I knew nothing about airlines. But if you have a good idea and you're willing to work hard and take some risks, anything's possible. So as you know, we started with 2 planes. We now have 246. My first day, December the 8th, 2001, we had 200 staff, and now we have 24,000 staff. Since we started, we've carried 829 million people. We're actually the 4th largest airline in Asia. Only the 3 Chinese airlines are bigger than us, and they have a slight advantage of 1.3 billion people in their country. We've gone to 136 global destinations. We just started a flight to Africa. We're really excited about Africa. There's really poor connectivity between Africa and Southeast Asia. And we just started to Nairobi, and we're going to add many more flights into Africa. And we started to Kazakhstan. Again, why did I start to Kazakhstan? And that route is like over 92%. Is because most people in Southeast Asia have never seen snow. And the closest is maybe Korea and Japan, which is really expensive. And Kazakhstan was really cheap for people to go to a ski resort. So that's how we started that. So our life is all about making dreams. 258 routes, and now we're in 5 countries in ASEAN, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Cambodia. And I hope before I retire that we'll be in all countries. You know, probably the toughest is Singapore, but who knows? We can dream. I've applied 5 times in Singapore, and 5 times they rejected me. But you never give up, which is the first message, and probably the most important message as an entrepreneur or as a startup. Never give up. Never let people tell you, you know. If there's one thing about me, I mean, there's many things said about me, good, positive, and negative. I never give up. I'm very resilient. You can throw a lot of things at me, but I'll still push and carry on. So, you know, I mean, that slide is a horrific slide. It was like a Will Smith movie. If you imagine KLIA 2, there was not a single person. 246 planes grounded, nobody in the airport. You can't imagine it. COVID, you know, I always said in my speeches, I've seen everything, I've done everything. Nothing is going to scare me, you know? No politicians, no Singapore government, nothing. But then COVID comes. Second lesson, keep your mouth shut. Don't ever predict anything because someone will throw something in your way. So always be aware. I mean, you see all these movies, I Am Legend with Will Smith and all these virus movies, and you think, it's only in the movies. Well, it happened. And it was the biggest shock. Like I've been through, as I said, SARS, bird flu, tsunami, earthquakes, but there's always a way. And that's my second lesson. There's always, as long as you're alive, as long as you're healthy, there's always a way back. Don't give up, right? I always tell this funny story. You know, I don't remember during maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago, the Bali bomb. Everyone canceled their flights to Bali because they were scared to go to Bali. And I said to my staff, we cannot cancel flights. We've made a lot of money from Bali and we have to carry on going to Bali. And so we gave away 5,000 free seats. And those 5,000 free seats were sold in 20 seconds because I knew Malaysians very well. If you put a free seat, we will risk our lives, okay? 500 ringgit to Bali, no, I'm too scared. Free seat, I'm going. And the beauty of Malaysians, all of you here, or the majority of you here, is that if you get a free seat, you go there, you have a great time, you will tell 50,000 other people how clever you were to get a free seat and go to Bali. So we were the only airline never to cancel a flight. Okay, ma'am, you've got a fantastic smile. Come up here, come up here. You in the middle, here. In the red. You, yeah, come up. Because you're wearing red, this is your lucky day. And I like your smile. Unlike Rais Hussein, who never smiles. Okay, sorry, I'm going off script. What's your name?
I'm Suryani from UCYP University, Kuantan.
Okay, what do? You're a lecturer? Or you're a student?
Yeah, half.
PhD?
Coming.
Okay. Because you're wearing red and you have a nice smile, would you like a free ticket?
Of course.
Okay. Maranti can't do this. I can. Where would you like to go?
Wow.
Alostar?
Tak mau lah,
Johor Bahru? Quick, you have 2 seconds. Decision now.
2 seconds.
Sorry? 1, 2. Otherwise, you're going to Alostar.
Sydney?
Huh?
Sydney?
Sydney. Okay, you can go to Sydney. You can go to Sydney.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, but you have to do a video story for us, tell us, and you have to meet Irene to discuss your PhD, our CEO. Okay, so you see the big boss there, Mariana. She will give you the contact, and you can go. Are you married?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 husbands, which one?
Only one.
Only one. You want to take him or don't want to take him?
Of course with him.
Doesn't sound real. Okay, you can take your husband.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Speak to Mariana. She's the boss, real boss. Okay, why do I do that? Because life's fun. You can do things, right? And you can make people happy. That's what we try to do at AirAsia. My number one priority is my staff. Why am I still doing this? Why am I still fighting? is because I owe it to my all-stars, my 24,000 staff who've done an incredible job. So number one in your company is your asset. Your asset is your people. And always people say customers and all this thing. If you make your people happy, they'll make your customers happy. If your staff are motivated, they'll find a way through COVID, right? So that's the second lesson. Never give up, and most important, even though you're entrepreneurs and you're CEOs, you're nothing without the people behind you. That's your biggest asset. So, what did we do? We went from one company to seven companies. Is it seven? Yeah, seven. So rather than stand still, we looked at what we had in our data, we looked at what assets we had looked at what people we had, and while we couldn't fly, we created all these companies, right? Our biggest asset was our people. Our second biggest asset was our data. Now, 23 years ago when I started this business, I didn't know about Rais Hussain and data and all these other things. I just always wanted a connection with my customers, right? Whether you like me, don't like me, attack me on Instagram, whack me on Facebook, you could do it. I'm transparent enough, right? I don't hide behind some spokesman. We're there. We're always accountable, right? And so I wanted that relationship, and that's why social media was so important to me. And by having that, I kept all this data for 23 years, which is now incredibly valuable. I didn't foresee this data revolution. I just wanted to have the connection with the customer. I didn't want my customers to go through travel agents or middlemen. I wanted to have the relationship. That's paid off tremendously because we have a huge amount of data that has enabled us to create these companies. So I'll go through one by one to show how you can innovate within your own system. How we've gone from it, and no one's done this, and most people thought I was crazy, and now every airline, from Delta to Qantas to everyone is calling me, trying to understand what we've done, right? So first, cargo. We never had a cargo airline, but we had people that couldn't fly. So we took all our seats off the planes and turned them into cargo planes. And that has become a phenomenal business that we kept it after COVID and created a company called Teleport, which in the past 2 years, just 2 years, with the use of data science, with the use of great people, we've gone from zero to just 3 weeks ago, we overtook Singapore Airlines as the #1 air cargo provider in Southeast Asia. Just in 2 years, We've now got our own freighters, and it was disastrous in the beginning because we just didn't know this business. We were shipping live crabs to Hong Kong, but we did such a bad job. By the time they got to Hong Kong, they were all dead, right? So this was how bad it was in the beginning. But you learn, and we've taken over. And now we have 3 businesses within this. We didn't stand still with air cargo. We've gone into e-commerce. And now we're one of the biggest suppliers for Shopee and Temu and all these other, Lazada, etc. And we've gone from zero to, by next year, we'll be doing 5 million parcels a day, which is amazing from where we were. And in the third business, I think courier is so expensive. I think most of you, it's too expensive, it's hard, it's complicated. So we're creating our own courier service. And we've just started, and we're doing really well in Singapore, and we're opening up in Thailand. So we're going to compete with DHL and FedEx. Not really compete. It's like AirAsia. AirAsia was never there to compete. AirAsia was there to, when I started this airline, and this is what you've already got to look at when you look at your businesses. I saw a statistic that only 6% of Malaysians flew. So I thought, wow, I've got 94% that I can attract this market. So when you're starting a business, you've got to see what is the market, what is the business opportunity, are you the first in the market? And so we were the first low-cost carrier. Of course, there are many others, right? Every animal has named a low-cost carrier. There's lions, there's tigers. In Malaysia, we have insect, Firefly. The worst name for a brand, because Firefly is the shortest living insect in the insect kingdom. So you got to be careful when you choose a brand. So, we see this opportunity in the courier business that only 3% of people use courier services. And if we can make it as accessible and as affordable as flying, we'll create a whole new business and we'll create a whole new group of e-commerce people. So if you were just selling your products in KL, we want you to sell it all over the world by making logistics simple and affordable. And so my life has all been about inclusivity, making, now everyone can fly was the tagline I came up with. Making everything inclusive is what I want to do. So that's what we're doing in Teleport. Then we stripped out our engineering company and thought, wow, we've had the lowest cost airline. Let's give our services to other airlines. Now that was really tough for my board and my people, but I said, hey, why not? So we created ADE. And ADE has just built the largest hangar, and we did this during COVID, in Southeast Asia. And without doubt in my mind, this is all a group of young Malaysians, really smart. They've used blockchain, they've used predictive maintenance. We've built algorithms that GE and Honeywell are now using for predictive maintenance. We've built our own blockchain. We are inspecting planes with drones. And so we're 3 days faster than the best MRO in the world. And when you have 250 planes like us, 3 days faster means you have an extra 750 days of flying, which is an extra 150 million ringgit of revenue. So of course everyone is using ADE now. And this is just done by smart people, giving them a chance to be the best. And they've built a spare parts blockchain, etc. So ADE is a company that I have no doubt, born in Malaysia, that will be the best in the world. I have absolutely no doubt. And if you have a chance, you should go and visit them in Sepang. It is an incredible company. Then we took our food, right? I mean, you fly on Singapore Airlines, it takes you 2 years for them to lay the table out. The food's done by some French chef. I just wanted to give functional food. Right? So we created nasi lemak and chicken rice and all these things. So during SARS, COVID, we opened restaurants because we didn't know what else to do. And again, I just want to hang on a little bit. It's in my presentation later. But branding is really important. Malaysian companies do not spend enough on branding, right? And you'll see it later on my slide. No one in the airline business brands their food. It's just in-flight menu. I created a brand, and once you create a brand, you can then extend the brand. So now Santan is selling food to KK Mart, to Zeus, to KTM. It's becoming a contract caterer. And so from an airline manufacturer, we've become a food services company. And they've got a fantastic joint venture with a Chinese company in making freeze-dry coffee. And so we will be just like any other food company. And maybe we'll go back into restaurants, but very much B2B. So that's because Santan built a brand, we can extend. So third lesson out here for all of you entrepreneurs is you've got to put some money into a brand, right? Finally, very controversial, we took our website, and this has caused a lot of fighting within my own company. We took our website and I created it into an OTA. Because many of you are not buying from airline websites anymore. You are going to Trip or Traveloka or Booking, etc., right? So I told my staff, if we stand still, every year we're going to lose customers. So I created a separate company, took our website and made it into an OTA. And I'm very emotional because our competitors are being sold on the same website. So you come into AirAsia Move, you'll see MAS, you'll see Lion Air, etc. But now my staff are beginning to see the value of it. So sometimes you've got to really disrupt. And that's the fourth lesson. I'm a disruptor. It upsets many people because we Malaysians like to just do the same thing over and over. But if you're not prepared for change management, you'll die. You think of some of the greatest companies. For the older people here, we all grew up with Nokia phones. It's gone. Kodak cameras, gone. Right? BlackBerry. BlackBerry was like my life. Gone. Right? So if you don't innovate and change, if you're not prepared to take a risk, you will die. Simple as that. And so AirAsia move was a big risk, caused a lot of problems, but it's going to be a very powerful OTA going forward. And then we've created this, is I'm most excited about, and I'll probably be the chairman of this company, is to make banking inclusive. It's tough for young people to get loans, so we created Big Pay. When you travel, credit card companies charge you a lot on interest, on exchange rate. So we created Big Pay. With no money, we now have 2 million customers, and we have a license in Thailand and Singapore. And so I put my rewards company, because rewards is like cash. We have 33 million members, and we're putting it all together. The last bit is a dream. It's not actually true. I might try and put our insurance company together, but that's a separate company completely. So I want to make finance inclusive and accessible and easy. Easy as flying on AirAsia. 2 minutes to get a loan, and we're just going to announce our loan product very soon. And I really don't want to charge people crazy amounts of interest rate, right? So 2 minutes to get your loan approved, give you good wealth management services, easy remittance. And I'm really a big believer in QR code and transferring money so we can avoid bank rails. So if you have a Big Pay account in Malaysia and your friends in Big Pay Singapore, you'll soon be able to transfer money between the two at the cheapest rate and the best exchange rates, right? And then we're trying to make rewards. We want to tokenize it, and one day we may make it into a coin and use that as an ASEAN currency, because to avoid exchange rates, etc. When you're flying around Asia, we want the AirAsia token, or whatever we call it, to be a stable coin that can be used with no loss of exchange rate, because I think many of us lose. So really, and the last one is we created a brand company. We took our brand, all these years we built brands, and now we're licensing our brand. So there's going to be AirAsia Hotels, a big hotel company wants to license our brand. A big luggage company has licensed our brand, AirAsia Luggage. Because if you put AirAsia in front of your brand, people know what it is, because we spent 23 years. They know it's low cost, they know it's inclusive, they know it's efficient, etc., right? If you put Rais Hussein in front of your brand, it's going to cost billions to tell everyone what that brand is. Maybe lots of billions, because he's very complicated and talks in words that most people don't understand because he's very smart. And finally, we built an academy, which Irene has done, which I'm really proud of, which all of you should check out. It's about making education inclusive. So it's a tech academy. We partnered Google, and we've taken some of our boys and girls who were carrying bags, who are now data scientists. We did this during COVID because we had to pivot, because we didn't have enough tech people. And my pilots and engineers and cabin crew were all sitting on the ground doing nothing. So we set up this academy to reskill them and retrain them. And Irene has done a phenomenal job. It was called AirAsia Academy, but then everyone thought it was just Pilot Academy, so she renamed it to Outclass. So that's what we did in the 5 years. And COVID has been with us 5 years, 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24. We're still in COVID because we haven't got all our planes back. Bringing back 250 planes is a massive job. But I think in 25, we'll be probably out of it, but we've gone from 1 company to 6 companies. So rather than go bankrupt, we've saved the airline, but we created, 5 other great companies. So how did we get there? I've kind of said most of this already. Great people. We have an amazing culture. 23 years, we haven't had one union. We've got no industrial action. There isn't one day that there's been industrial action in AirAsia. Our neighbor airlines around Asia have about 40 unions and many industrial actions. We've not had one day, right? And it's a culture that believes anything is possible and pushes the envelope and is willing to change. And not easy when you have 24,000 staff. As I said, even though there was a lot of unhappiness at creating AirAsia move, everyone has accepted it now. Okay? And we always innovate. And innovate's not just about technology, it's about how we manage our people. You know, I carry bags. I am a cabin crew once in a while. I don't do it so often because now, you know, it causes pandemonium and people want to take pictures, etc. But I don't think you can be an effective leader unless you go down to the ground and are prepared to do what your staff do. I can do everything. I can fly a plane. I don't, and you don't want me to, but I know how to. I can change a wheel on a plane. I know everything about the engine. You know, the hardest job in AirAsia is actually checking in. That's the toughest job in AirAsia. You know, making chendol on a plane, I can do it. But you cannot be an effective leader unless you're willing to do that. And so innovation for me is, we don't have offices. I just have a desk in AirAsia. I dressed up today, not because of you guys, because I have to see the Minister of Finance after this and ask him for some money. Otherwise, I would have been wearing a t-shirt and jeans. If you wear a suit, you put a distance between you and your staff. If you look worse than your staff, they feel comfortable talking to you, right? Causes problem in Malaysian airports, but sometimes they think I'm an illegal Bangladeshi immigrant that's just dumped off the plane, but it's okay. And innovation is also roots. It's not just technology. How you manage people, how you choose your market. So flying to Nairobi, no one's ever done it from Malaysia. Flying to Bandung, I used to record dangdut music there. I am actually the dangdut king, right? Emelina, everyone. All my music was innovation. I did Nasheed. No one did Nasheed before me. I did Raihan, right? If you remember Raihan. I shipped out 200 units. Everyone laughed at us, but we ended up selling 2 million units. And not just the Muslims, everyone bought it. It was great music, and it was the #1 album in Indonesia. So innovation is about doing things differently, not just technology. Going to places no one else goes to, giving food, allowing our cabin crew to wear their hair how they want, both men and boys, you know? Allowing people to be themselves, allowing people to dream. There were no female pilots in Southeast Asia before AirAsia. I said to my chief pilot, why are there no female pilots? And he came up with a reason that can never be repeated in public. And I said, if a woman can run a country, she can certainly fly a plane. And now we have the most female pilots of any airline in the world as a percentage of our pilots, you know? That's just common sense, but it's also innovation. Why cut out 50% of the population, right? Makes no sense to me. So innovation is not just about technology. It's how you manage your company, it's how you look at your business, it's product, etc. And finally, as I mentioned, branding and marketing. So, you know, here are great examples. Coogan was a dispatch rider. And we've allowed, I said, I don't care. I had a good education. I didn't use it much, but I was sent to good schools, right? But a lot of Malaysians and Southeast Asians didn't have money for further education. So my goal is to give everyone a chance. If you want to be the best, come to AirAsia, and I'll turn you from a raw diamond to a diamond. And so we have Coogan, who's about to become a captain. You join AirAsia to be, it was his birthday yesterday, to be a dispatch rider, and you're going to be a captain. Ramp officer, as I said, to become a data analyst. You know, cabin crew, she was Miss Thailand, actually, who's now a flight instructor and cabin crew. We have hundreds of examples of people who joined us. You know, a cabin crew who's now CEO of Singapore. So anything is possible in AirAsia. If you want to be the best, you can, right? And all my CEOs of Teleport and Move have all come up within the organization. Actually, Move hasn't, but most of them have come up from within the organization. That's our office. You know, I put that gap in the middle. Most companies wouldn't allow it because it's a waste of space. You could have more floor space. There was a big argument with my board. But I said, I want everyone to see everybody. And this place in the middle is where we have our town halls, which I do regularly. We're very transparent, where everyone eats together, people can sleep there, do anything. So this area in the middle is the most important. So that's innovation. Our office is really innovative. We have hairdresser, we have kindergarten for single parents, we have laundry, we even have a dog house for the abandoned dogs. And so this is really unique. And so you can have a standard office, or you can utilize your space to be a place where people dream and innovate and are excited to go to work. I want people to be excited to go to work. If you're not excited about going to work, if you have no passion, I'm getting 50% of you, right? So that innovation goes all over, right? We're very open. We're very communicative. That's Mariana's job, is to, sometimes I'm too open, and she tells me I have to control what I say. So whenever she's sitting in front of me here, I watch what I say, because I'll be told off. There was a time where I didn't care. But I'm older now, and I have a head of communications who looks at me like, shut up. And I shut up. Okay? That's our culture. We spend a lot of time on this, and Mariana's head of this. You know, everyone talks about branding, as I have, but if you don't have internal branding, forget it. If your own staff don't understand what your mission is, how can you sell it outside? So we spend a lot of time educating people on our brand. And I won't go through it, but it's simple, it's clear, all stars know what their role in life is. We spend a lot of money on branding, and it's fantastic looking at these pictures, because I'm on my way, unlike Reyes, to be slim, and next time I take my shirt off, everyone will see a six-pack. I'm on my way. The final challenge in Tony Fernandes's life. But we spend a lot on branding, and accountants don't understand. And I'm an accountant. They think, oh, you spend money, where's the return? The fact that we did all this, people stayed with us after COVID. People stayed with us after we owed people $1 billion in refunds. But we paid back. With no government help, by the way, zero. We did this all by ourselves. My sister airline, next door, Malaysian Airlines, has received 43 billion ringgit since we've been in operation. We've done it all ourselves without any taxpayers' money, right? And people, you asked me to talk about sustainability. You know, at this point I agree with Donald Trump. Do things that make a difference. Sustainable aviation fuel is dumb. It's not going to make any difference. 1-2% putting into a plane will not make a difference. So we do things that are real. We have electric vehicle to push back our tractors. We are working with DCA or CAM to make sure when you land quickly, as opposed to circling around the sky or a long time to take off. We have sustainable material. We have to do something. This is where I disagree with Mr. Trump. There is a problem. Weather has changed. We have so many delays now because of weather. It is really a problem for us. And so we all have to do something. And we're looking at carbon credits, you know, and that carbon credits is we will charge you something, but that money will go into projects which will soak up carbon. We have to do something, but sustainable aviation fuel doesn't work. But we all of us have a responsibility, and our biggest job is to educate all of you that, you know, we have to do something. The world is changing. Mark my words. You know, I go to some countries in ASEAN and it's 50 degrees. I was in Cambodia, it was 50 degrees. I felt like I was in the Sahara Desert. So global warming is here, and we all have to do something, and we're doing our bit. Aviation contributes 3% of carbon emissions. The food industry, the beef industry, and the farming industry contributes 20%. If we all ate plant-based food, carbon dioxide would be a lot less, just to let you know. Okay, and I mean, electric cars are great, but where does the power come from? If you're getting electricity from a coal-fired plant, that's a problem, right? So sustainability is important, but I think governments really need to think about what makes a difference and not just follow blindly the West, right? I think Europe is crazy, and Singapore has copied 100%, forcing airlines to put 1% of sustainable aviation fuel, which costs 4 times more. Makes no sense. So I urge Maranti and everyone to educate, to make sure we make proper policies that will make a difference. And sustainability is not just the carbon. We got to protect our environment. We bring 1 million tourists into an island, we can destroy the island as well. You know, we got to stop human trafficking. There's so many other, and sustainability is about us surviving our business. If we didn't survive, if we're not sustainable, 23,000 jobs gone, and 400,000 people that rely on AirAsia for tourism gone. So sustainability is not just about the environment. Yeah, this is my pet hate, SAF. And Airbus and stuff are working on hydrogen, electric planes. We're actually a partner of a company that's making electric planes. You can have all the cooking oil in the world, which is the feedstock for SAF, will only contribute 2%. So, you know, it makes no sense. And this is the danger of sustainability, that people do things without fully thinking. So I'm 4 minutes 57 ahead of longer than I should have talked, so I'm slightly delayed, unlike AirAsia, which is never delayed. So, well, we're delayed once in a while, but, you know, Mavcom, an organization I don't like, voted us the #1 on-time airline. So because we're so transparent, people will always talk about it, but we really do an amazing job, because to keep fares low, we fly 14 hours a day and there's no break, 25 minutes. Because the more you use a plane, I can give you a cheaper fare. Okay, and I'm determined. Fares have gone up because they were too low, but they're not going up anymore. And we'll continue to drive fares down as much as possible. Thank you. Enjoy Sydney. Thank you for inviting me. Please fly on AirAsia and enjoy your conference.
Thank you once again, Tan Sri, Tony Fernandes, for joining us. And we'd like to invite everyone